Our Old Testament reading this morning is from Joshua. It's after the Israelites have entered into the Promised Land, after they've made the initial journey, after they've heard the warnings of the spies, they didn't trust God, and then were sent to wander for 40 more years. And now they have arrived and come into possession of Canaan. The land has been divided amongst the 12 tribes when Joshua calls them together, the leaders, the people, the judges, everybody. He calls them together and says, "Long ago, your ancestors worshipped other gods, but now is the time to be 100% in this boat. Now is the time to fear, love, and trust, to serve the God of Israel. If you don't like how that sounds, you can go. But as for me, Joshua, me and mine, we will serve the Lord." This is a moment of choice for the Israelites. They are given the opportunity to get off the hook. If they do not want to follow God, they do not have to. If they don't want to follow the 10 Commandments, they don't have to. They can leave. They can find a new path. They can find another way. They can cast their lot with another God. I like to think that there was a moment of not hesitation, but consideration for what a life of following God would entail, what it would mean to their activities of daily life. And then they respond. They respond, "It was God who brought us and our parents out of Egypt and performed miracles. We will serve the Lord because He is our God." The story, this chapter, could have ended there, but we've read beyond it this morning, all the way to the end of the 24th chapter, because it doesn't end there. They say, "We are going to follow God." And Joshua says, "No, you won't. And more than that, it'll be bad when you don't." But they argue, "No, yes, we will follow God." So Joshua seems, to me anyway, to challenge them. Then do something. Do something about it. Throw away your foreign gods and yield your hearts to the Lord. It's interesting to think that there might have been people who were following Moses out of Egypt through the Red Sea into the desert, guided by pillars of smoke and of fire, all the while carrying with them false idols in their pockets or in their backpacks. Just in case. If you want to follow God, however, Joshua is telling them, it means that you will have to live differently, that God will have to be a priority. God, faith, has to be the priority. If you find yourself driving toward Wilmington, North Carolina, through eastern North Carolina, about 90 miles before you get to Wilmington, you'll be in Wayne County on State Route 117, where you will eventually cross over North Carolina State Route 222. Where those two routes cross, you will find the town of my youth, Fremont, North Carolina. Now, about 200 yards before 117 intersects with 222, you will see a 15-foot tall metallic daffodil. Actually, now there are 3 of them. Now, while you were driving into town, if you were paying attention, you would have seen a sign that welcomes you to Fremont with the title, "The Daffodil Town." It was a title that was given to the town from a neighboring newspaper, the Goldsboro News and Observer, back in 1958. Several years after being called the Daffodil Town, Fremont started its annual Daffodil Festival to celebrate the flower that is the pride of the community. The Daffodil Festival is filled with all the things you would expect to find at a small town festival. Fried foods and arts and crafts, a booth run by the Methodist Ladies Circle, and a stage from which entertainment is provided. It's quite the picturesque little festival. I had the opportunity to go back to it in 2022 for the first time in about a quarter century. They did and continue to do a lot of things right at that festival, though the date is a little peculiar. See, the festival happens on the third Saturday in March, at which point Typically, in Fremont anyway, either none of the daffodils have bloomed, or spring has come early and they have all already bloomed and are beyond peak, if not already gone. It was to solve this problem that the 15-foot tall metallic daffodils were built, to make sure that there were always at least those three in the center of the town for the festival. Now, the other 364 days of the year, they are just three large metallic daffodils in the center of town, which I'm sure has led to many a passerby asking, what on earth are those flowers doing there? But for the residents of the town, they know. Those giant metal flowers are a reminder of the town, of festivals past, and of the promise of future festivals. Those flowers show how important daffodils and the Daffodil Festival is to that community, not only to the residents, but to anyone who drives by, whether they know it or not. See, I find that when things are important to us, we tend to let people know. And there's a lot of different ways that we let people know. A town with giant metal daffodils. A mother with a birthstone ring showing off the birthstones of her children. People, I'm sure you know and I do too, who spend all of their time somewhere special, wherever that is, or talking and telling others about that special place. My mom always says that the difference between the things that you want to do and the things that you don't want to do is your willingness to do them. And I find that once I've done something, if I've enjoyed it, if it meant something to me, then I'll want to do it again, or at least tell others about it. And it's here that we get back to the reading from Joshua. Under an oak tree, there's a stone, and that stone is a reminder that Joshua erects, reminding the members of the 12 tribes every time they walk by it, every time they see it, every time they think of it, of the God that their families followed out of Egypt and into the promised land. That stone is a reminder that following God is a choice, one lived publicly, one that can be seen in the ways that we live our lives. It's a reminder of the covenant made that day at Shechem. Let's take this a step further. The stone that Joshua raises reminds the people that you can't follow God and other idols. There's only room for one thing in the center of your life. It's a reminder that a life spent following God is one where God is leading and guiding, yes, and it is also one wherein we are following and doing. I like to think that every time a member of that community saw that rock under that oak tree, they remembered that meeting, their promises, and got excited about what God was going to do next for them, to them, and with them. I'd like to think that every time they saw that rock, it was, in a way, a call to action, a call to do something, a reminder that God has plans for them, that God did when Moses was sent to save them from Egypt, and God surely will in the future as well. I like to think that when travelers saw that rock, maybe for the first time, and asked about it, those who made the promises that day at Shechem were excited to share their story, excited to share their faith, and to share what was happening next in their communities. I'd like to think it was a reminder that part of a life of faith is to be lived publicly. Friends, we still know this to be true today. Today, a young member of our congregation, Ethan, is coming forward this morning to kneel and receive the sacrament of Holy Communion for the first time. From this day forward, whenever he is in this space, this sanctuary, he will be able to look up and see this chancel and remember this day and this event, this reality of his faith that is drawing him here to step forward, to to do, to receive. He is joining us in our reality of faith that causes us not to sit passively, but to stand, to come, to receive, to do. I also believe that this building here at Faith Lutheran Church serves us like the rock under the tree did to the communities Joshua spoke to. Here at 730 Collingwood Avenue is a reminder of our commitment to God that calls us and draws us down God's pathways as faith should, to leave some things behind, to live faith publicly, and to show where God is leading us. Remembering that following means moving and doing, not simply nodding or promising. This is our reminder. These bricks laid generations ago in this community of Whitehall on the corner of Elm and Collingwood, set here that this congregation can worship God, love our neighbors, and serve this community. We do so in many and various ways, through tacos and baby clothes, in 5K races, and in donation drives. But friends, this is my prayer for us, that every time we look at this building, every time we remember our gorgeous stained glass window, that we will remember God's faithfulness and get excited about where God is leading us next. Amen.